afternoon. My name is Joseph Lloyd and I source cars for people on a professional basis, hence the name of my channel, Lloyd Vehicle Consulting. 4 years ago, I was asked to come up with a series of videos that were filmed inexpensively. We don't use digital cameras, we don't use fluid head tripods, we don't use shotgun microphones, we wear tatty shirts, we just use a phone. But we look at cars that you can buy for a budget up to £1,000 only, and we very much enjoy ourselves. These are cars that might be in cosmetically bad condition. You might see oil leaks, rattly dashboards and cosmetic imperfections, but we go all over the country and we find these very inexpensive cars that you all seem to enjoy watching. Well, viewers, another MGF on the channel. Bizarrely, despite the fact I've been in the world of MG Rover cars for some years now, this is only the second one I've ever driven. It's a 2001 1.8 i version. This was the sort of specification when the car was launched, the base model in 1995. This is a 2001 car, so it's towards the latter end of production. Production finished at the beginning of 2002. It does wear exactly the same wheels as the last MGF I drove, which was a Freestar model. That's been scrapped now. It had collapsed hydrogas, and yeah, I drove it about 18 months ago. The person who owned that one is actually the same person who owns this one, a gentleman by the name of Max from Discount MG Rover Spares. This car, along with another one, a purple VVC model, was actually saved from a barn. It just had an MOT, and I have temporary custody of this car for about a week or so, so I thought I'd do a video on it. MGF was actually an interesting car in its development. It does share some parts with the old Rover Metro, such as the hydrogas suspension system, but obviously it's actually mid-engine and rear-wheel drive as opposed to front-end and front-wheel drive. Mirrors look very similar, and I suppose in some ways it's like a cheaper alternative these days to a Lotus Elise, that with the Series 1 cars, they actually have got the same engine options, which is really strange in many ways, but these were always cheaper then than they are now. You can pick up one of these for under £1,000. This car is actually worth more than double that, I think. It is actually a really nice example. It's had some work done to it. Facelift occurred in 1999 with things like different front end and different door cards and some new options and things like that. One thing you'll see if I put the hood down, I have some footage of the car with the roof up. It's actually not that difficult to do. You do normally need two hands to do it. You need to release the catches that are here, and also you need to fold the roof. And it's quite difficult to actually pull the roof forward when you're sitting in the car. I've tried that, and it's better to do it when you actually get out of the car. If you open up the boot here, we've actually got two boots on this car. We've got a back one and a front one. There we go. See where the engine is, it's just here. Now, you can actually get access to the engine in a couple of different ways. You can drop the engine out. I think there's 4 bolts, and it comes down on a lift if you want to do that. Also, there is actually a hatch, which is behind these seats here. Or is it here? I can never remember exactly where it is, but it's sort of this area here. You can drop the hatch out and you can get access that way too. If you need to do things like, I don't know, the cam belt or things, we do have a cam belt, these case series engines, you get a 1.6 or 1.8. Most of the MGFs you'll find a 1.8, so 1.6 was introduced relatively late on in life, but 1.8 had 3 power outputs. As you can see, you can lift here and you can get access to things like the dipstick, the oil filler cap, the coolant reservoir are there, and then other things on this side as well. Actually, that one's not going to lift out so easily. But yeah, it's not too bad, I suppose, for a car like this. The boot's actually quite generous. It's not too bad on the rear. You can put some bags in here. It's quite deep. And then we've got the front boot as well, which you access with pulling that. One thing you don't want to do, I'm going to put the keys in my pocket now, is actually shut them in there, because then, well, you're pretty screwed if you do that. But we've got them here, twin exhausts. One thing I will say about this car, when we go for a drive a little later, it doesn't feel quite as fast as it should. I don't know why. The throttle's a little bit sticky in this one. I don't know if that's all of them like that, but certainly the VVC models, which have a bit more power than this standard 1.8, would feel a bit swifter. Right, I shall open up the front boot now as well. See here we've got the remote servo for the brakes here, and there's the windscreen washer fluid, and the spare tyre lives in here. This car would have ABS. If it had ABS, the ABS pump would be just on this side, the battery's on this side, and there's the fuse box. So maintenance isn't quite as crazy as you'd think. You can use this area here for a little bit of luggage if you want to, but the rear boot's not big enough. And yeah, you know, a lot of these cars, I don't know, MX-5 or maybe a W30 MR2, are most similar cars to this that I've driven, and they both have front engines, those two. This one, obviously the engine's in the middle, so it does actually make a very different noise when the engine's right behind your ears, which is either tiring or it's fun. It depends on your point of view. Let's close that and take a look at the interior. So, with the roof down, we get unlimited headroom, which is good. It's not too bad getting in with the roof on. One thing that is a bit annoying is these seat belts are always kind of getting behind here, so when you reach over with your shoulder with the roof up, it can be a bit tricky. We've got some speakers behind here as well. The other speakers are in the doors. It's not the loudest stereo I've ever had in my life. This is the standard JVC unit. I've just put an adapter in there so I can use Bluetooth and things. This one's a 5-speed manual. You could get a Steptronic with some of the facelifted cars actually, which is an automatic. You've got various storage bits there, in here, and even got a glove box. I don't think these secret mission documents go in this, so they might do. Let's give it a go and see if we can get them in. Oh yes, that's really good. Secret mission documents. It's all just a well though, because we haven't got any door pockets. We've also not got a passenger airbag. Even the later TFs, all of them came with that, although they did come with ABS from 2004. These facelifted cars also have a different control panel here. There are a lot more kind of Maestro Montego switches in here than in this one. I think these are off like a Land Rover Discovery or something, these electric radio switches from memory. We've got an oil temperature gauge, the clock, which is wrong, and then the dials here. They look very much like the same instrument cluster off an R8 Rover 2 or 100 or 400 actually. And then this mirror switch is off a Rover 800, isn't it? Or a latest Maestro Montego. These stalks are off load of different MGs and Rovers, from things like the sort of 45s and 25s, and also the HHR 400s and things like that. These are off. Steering wheel is good. You can adjust it up and down if you want. I've just left it there. Electric window switches are not on the doors. They are here, which presumably makes it easier for left and right hand drive. You might wonder, what on earth is this car doing at reheated window switch? Because the reheated windows are plastic. That's the hard top, which this car actually did come with, and it's on a different MGF at the moment. Drive position's all right. I do feel you sit a bit high in this actually. You're quite low to the ground anyway. You can see how far we're off the ground here, not very far, but it does just feel a little bit high, which isn't the most comfortable I've ever driven. But it's sort of similar to, I don't know, an MB MX-5 or something like that. In that respect, you've got to be careful when you're getting in that you don't sort of catch yourself on there if you've got the roof down. Other than that, there's not a great deal to say. We've got a cigarette lighter down there with the ashtray. There's a compartment in here as well for things, but you've got to be careful, because if you're changing gear, you don't really want things poking out of there when you can't actually get into where you need to go. These facelifted cars do have a different door card, because that door's actually been changed on this car, and that when Max changed the door over with a car, one from a car of the same colour, he did also change the door card over, because it was a Mark 1 or pre-facelift door. This has now got the correct door card on it. Right, I think that's basically it. You can spot these vents, I think they're off the R3200, aren't they, these vents? But let's take this out for a little spin, shall we? So we're just going to go for a short drive today. We're also going to keep below 40 miles per hour, because if I go much faster than that, the wind noise gets crazy. So when the car was launched in 1995, there were two engine options. You could get a 1.8i like this with 118 horsepower, or the VVC version with variable valve timing, which has 143 horsepower. Later on, I think about 2000, 2001, you could get a 1.6 K series with 109 horsepower. Those actually aren't too bad. They're a little bit quicker than we might imagine they would be. Right, now we're out of there. So those are the three main options. Right at the sort of end of the MGF, there was a model called the Trophy, which had a more powerful version of the VVC engine, which had 157 horsepower. They're all very similar in terms of the engineering though. The TF that followed this car in 2002 had some major changes, such as the suspension being converted from hydrogas to standard steel springs and shocks, and also has a different front end. On the rear end of the sort of facelifted MGFs and the TFs, I've always found to be very, very similar. This car does 0 to 60 apparently in about 8.5 seconds, but what I've found is that you need to press the accelerator quite hard to actually get it to sort of wake up. It doesn't seem quite as nippy as I remember the TF135 that I drove in 2020. Of course, that has a bit more power than this, so that would explain why it doesn't. The steering is quite good. It is actually an electrically assisted system in this. I have driven an MGF with collapsed hydrogas and no power assistance before, and I think on some of these you could get the power steering deleted, or just you have to specify it, and it feels fine. The handbrake I found is a bit weird. You're not quite sure if you've actually released it or not. The other strange thing about this car is the gear change. Now you could get a Steptronic automatic version. I think that came in about sort of 2000, but most of them you'll find will have this 5-speed manual in them, and it is a bit stiff. All the Fs and TFs I've driven have had quite stiff gearboxes, and it's just something that you have to get used to. The other thing is this car is a little bit rattly. The dashboard I think is rattling in this a bit, and there is a fair degree of subtle shake with these, but then again so is there in a W30 MR2 or an MBM X5, just what these cars are like. But yeah, brakes are good even in this car without ABS. Steering has some nice weight to it actually, even with the power assistance. And it is good fun. It just reminds you of kind of much older British sports cars, but with a bit more modern conveniences. Some even air conditioning. Engine does make quite a good noise though. The ride isn't quite as soft as I would actually have imagined in one of these. It is a little bit firm still, which is why actually you see the camera moving around quite a lot in this. But overall it's not too bad. It is quite good fun to drive, although I would not recommend driving this car with the roof down on the motorway, as I have actually done myself. It gets very, very loud if you do that, but maybe that's the sort of excitement that you like, in which case be free to try that for yourself. Let's quickly look at some MGF trim levels. The basic cars were just called 1.6i or 1.8i or 1.8i VVC. That was pretty much what they were called, even right to the end. But we had some special editions, such as the 75th anniversary limited edition from 1999 to 2000, celebrating the 75th anniversary of MG, which was a company founded 100 years ago this year, 1924. There'll be Abingdon, which was just before the first facelift, 97-98. The Freestyle, which is the model we looked at last time, which was sort of later on, I think, sort of 2001 to 2. The SE, which lasted from 2000 to 2002, and the Trophy, which had the 158 brake horsepower engine, the only model of MGF to have it, from 2001 to 2. So viewers, should you consider an MGF for your hard-earned budget up to £1,000? Well, I think this is one of the cheapest ways into sort of open-top motoring of this kind of era, this sort of car, particularly if you want a mid-engine car. I wouldn't say this is the nicest car I've ever driven. I find the gearbox a little bit stiff, and this throttle pedal being sticky makes it a bit difficult in traffic, but it is quite a lot of fun. If you want a sort of raw visceral experience, you don't want to spend a lot of money on a car, and you can find one that's in good condition, such as, you know, it isn't rusty, the head gasket's not blown, the cam belt's okay, and the hydrogas is actually been sorted, then I don't see why you wouldn't want to consider a car like this. I certainly have had some fun with this. Anyway, thank you ever so much to you once again for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like this video, leave a comment below, and we shall see you again very soon for some more inexpensive motoring.